Got my guy, senior sports editor, Adam Caparell. Cap, how you feeling, brother?
We're doing what? Jesus.
He had a stroke. So as 2018 winds down, we're recapping a lot of great things that's happening in pop culture music, but of course we have to document in sports, and I got my guy, Adam Caparell, right here with me. Complex sports editor. Cap, how you doing, brother?
We're hanging in there.
This reminds us of old times, right?
Yeah, we've been here, done that.
Okay. So Cap, of course we keep the messiness going. We're talking about the best sports beats of 2018. We have a definitive list that you can check out over at complex.com, but we're going to recap some of the more noteworthy ones here.
Our favorites, if you will.
Our favorites,
yeah.
But of course we have to start with the first topic on the list. Cam Newton versus Kelvin Benjamin. If you remember during the preseason, the two former teammates met up. Kelvin Benjamin has some choice things to say about his former quarterback, calling him inaccurate. Cam Newton is obviously about that life because he ran up on Kelvin Benjamin during pregame, and we got a lot of great memes from that interaction. Kelvin Benjamin kind of just walked away. Cam Newton seemed to be with the smoke. What do we make about the whole thing?
I think it was great that Kelvin Benjamin had the audacity to call out Cam, especially when you got cut later on in the season from the Bills and you were traded away from the Panthers.
From the Bills of all teams.
Yes, from the Bills of all teams, but you were traded away from the Panthers because of your lack of ability to stay healthy, number one, and be effective, number two. So taking shots at the franchise quarterback, at a guy that even if you redrafted the year that Cam was eligible for the draft, in a draft that featured Von Miller, J.J. Watt, and other awesome guys,
arguably, Cam
would still go number one.
Easily.
Arguably. And he may not be a premier top level, caliber quarterback, it may be top 10, but he's still a hell of a lot more valuable than you as a football player. And every GM in the entire league is going to side with Cam over you. So you talking wild and crazy and bringing all the smoke that you want towards Cam was hilarious, number one. And number two, even better, when we got Cam with the, in my opinion, one of the best moves of the entire year, waving off the guy that came to break everything up.
It's coming from the guy that originated the hand wave.
That's right. Cam had the aggressive hand wave.
Cam is great. Cam took everything in stride. Of course, his accuracy issues have been something that's plagued him throughout his entire career. But for Kelvin Benjamin to make this remark when he's going to play with the rookie quarterback and Josh Allen, who's done nothing in this league, when he made that comment, it was a low blow towards Cam Newton.
Completely low blow.
And like you mentioned, that 2011 draft class, that's arguably one of the greatest draft classes in sports history.
I want to nominate Ben Simmons versus Donovan Mitchell as our next beef, high-level beef, because this got very petty between these two guys. Obviously, they were in the running for the 2017-2018 NBA Rookie of the Year award, and we can debate who deserved that because I'm of the ilk that it should have been Donovan Mitchell. Okay, fine. Unlike you, I think Donovan Mitchell should have been the Rookie of the Year, and he took definitive shots at Ben Simmons when this debate was kind of rearing to a head, and everyone was going back and forth about who should be Rookie of the Year, who should not, who deserves to be Rookie, who's qualified. But I was in the camp that Donovan Mitchell, being a legitimate rookie, unlike Ben Simmons, deserved to win the award.
Okay, so you're giving Donovan Mitchell the benefit over Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons was in the NBA a year and went through the NBA infrastructure.
Yes, and when you have a year of structure, when you go through the ins and outs of an NBA season, not necessarily playing, but when you're getting rehab, when you're practicing, when you're in a team environment, there's a much different environment than someone playing college ball, which Donovan Mitchell was that time last year.
But we've seen players time and time again get to the NBA infrastructure early and still don't produce when it is time to play. Ben Simmons produced.
But it's still, you can't deny it's an advantage.
It's somewhat of an advantage, but I think we're overplaying it a bit.
Anyway, all right, so Donovan Mitchell was politicking big time for the award, and the biggest example we have of that is when he actually wore a hoodie that let the world know what exactly a rookie was, because that was the big debate. And if you guys remember, Donovan came out, I think, before a game with the Adidas-sponsored hoodie that defined basically what a rookie was, quote, saying, an athlete playing his or her first season as a member of a professional sports team. And Twitter kind of lost it when that started making the rounds.
That's my biggest issue with this whole situation. Let your game do the talking. Don't necessarily campaign or politic to become Rookie of the Year and then you lose out and then you look foolish even more. And also things are kind of bearing themselves out. We see it in Ben Simmons, I guess you want to call it his third year, and Donovan Mitchell's second year. There's a bit of a slump that's happening with Donovan Mitchell. He could still very well be a great player, but when you campaign for Rookie of the Year and you don't get it and then you have a bit of a slump the next season, I think the voters got it right with Ben Simmons being
Well, I mean, he got 90% of the vote, and the two dapped up at the NBA Awards in June, so it was a nice moment. But again, if you want to go by the strict definition of rookie, guess who was a rookie? That was Donovan Mitchell, and he should have been the Rookie of the Year last year.
If we're talking semantics, I'll give you that. So newest Philadelphia 76er, Jimmy Butler, finally got out of Minnesota and was able to make his way to what we look like a new big three in the league with Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid. We're taking things back. What do we make of Jimmy Butler's exit from Minnesota? Was he right in having the infamous practice tirade where he told the Timberwolves GM, you need me, you can't win without me?
It got really messy and really unnecessary on Jimmy's part, but he did what he had to do to get out of Minnesota.
My issue with the Jimmy Butler thing is the fact that everything was contrived, right? He had the issue at practice, and then he calls Rachel Nichols to do like post-practice interview where he talks about
Exactly,
the
yes.
practice that happened in order to get himself out of Minnesota. You take off games for rest. I'm not saying that that was his fault. It might have been the team's prerogative. But there was way too many things to get him out of Minnesota for the chance of him just not be happy again in Philadelphia. So the issue is probably Jimmy rather than these franchises, because this is his third different stint.
And Jimmy's going to be stamped with this kind of persona for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
And you can claim that this is all about competitiveness and everything like that, but when you're out there fishing for the right situation to get yourself paid as much as humanly possible, it comes off as very unreal and untruthful and kind of fugazi, if you will,
For sure.
for your real true reasons for going to these other teams and trying to placate yourself and make these pieces move and do what you need to do for you, what you feel is the best. Jimmy always portrayed himself as a guy that wants to win no matter what, and he's ultra competitive. And yes, he is. But low key, this has also been about his money as much as finding the right situation.
Honestly, that's what this entire thing has been about, because Karl-Anthony Towns got the Supermax from the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves, from the reports that I read, weren't trying to offer Jimmy the full 5-year max that he felt like he deserved, which would be roughly around, 120 or 190? It's one of those two numbers, depending on the bird rights, all those things in the CBA. But don't make it about your teammates or about what they lack in hard work. If it's about money, just say it's about money. And I think the general public will respect you. Probably the most messiest story we'll have in the NBA this season, and it happened in November, still very early in the season, is a situation between Kevin Durant and Draymond Green that happened in Staples Center against the Los Angeles Clippers, resulted in Draymond being suspended 1 game by the team and losing a game check where he allegedly called KD a bitch and told him we can win without you and pretty much dared him to leave the free agency. If the Warriors win a championship, right, we're looking ahead. Is everything forgiven? What do we make of this?
I don't think it's a big deal.
Really?
Now, I get that it makes for great fodder for us to talk about and to write about and to kind of speculate, but in the grand scheme of things, this happened in November. Now, I was at the game covering that, and the idea, or not, the environment and the energy out of that locker room didn't let it on that there was some major beef going on between the two of them. It kind of eked out afterwards that this is what happened, this is what's said, and this is what went down. But in the immediate aftermath of it, like, we didn't really have a hint that that actually went down.
But that's what teams do. They
internalize it.
They internalize things, and when the media comes in, they put on a good face. But the fact that the team suspended him a whole game
because
check.
we know who they have to side with. We get that completely. And it may, now Draymond's petty enough to make this affect how he goes with negotiations with the Warriors down the line. But in terms of the actual, their mentality, what they have to do for the season, and for the fact that it happened so early in the season, I don't see how this is going to be a major thing and affect them through their run inevitably to another NBA Finals.
Now, I agree with you. I don't think that it will affect them in this season and this run, but I think that effectively ended the dynasty right there on that Staples Center floor.
I don't think so.
Because I don't know how you come back from this. If you're Draymond,
it's very easy. If you're that gung-ho about winning championships,
Yeah.
and you're KD, who can obviously leave and go someplace else,
Yeah.
but you really want to stamp yourself as a winner, and if you love living in the Bay Area the way he said he has, and he loves the environment there and his teammates, besides the little beef that you have and the little spat you have with Draymond here and there, why would you leave?
But what makes KD happy? What is it that he wants? Does he want the clout of being the guy? And if he wants to be the guy, he can either go to the Clippers or he can go to the Knicks.
Yeah, we don't know KD's psyche, and it's one of the most interesting guys and interesting minds to get inside and figure out what the hell's going on inside it. But that being said, I think we do need to give props to Draymond Green just for simply going at KD in ways that we haven't seen before. And for the fact that he had the audacity to call him a bitch, which is about the worst thing you can call another NBA player, and question his money, which is another, like,
crazy.
you know, the cardinal sins that Draymond committed with this little petty beef is significant. Like, you can tick off 2 or 3 of them, and that's why it made for such great fodder and great topic to talk about. But in the grand scheme of things, yes, it's going to fall very high on our list because of how messy it was in the immediate aftermath of it. But I think come June, when the Warriors win their 3rd championship in a row and stamp them as one of the greatest dynasties ever, 4 and 5 years, we're going to forget about this, and it's not going to be that big of a deal.
We want to know your opinions on all the matters at hand, and be sure to check out the entire list of the best sports beefs of 2018. Of course, flood our timelines and let us know your thoughts. Do you agree with number 1 on our list? But in the meantime, for Adam Caparell, I'm Simpson. See you soon.